And now I'm very happy to, again, another friend, amazing friend, Ben Avraham, Director of National Security, Emergency and Accessibility Coordinator of Amot Investment Group, a leading Israeli real estate company. Or to make it short, Ben is my go-to accessibility, security, rock expert that I turn to whenever I need some help. And he will be speaking about emergency evacuation plans for people with disabilities. Ben, go for it.
Hi, thank you very much, Michal. I'm getting red for the compliment.
You deserve it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Hello, everybody. I think this is an amazing webinar, amazing meeting. Michal, I think it should be next year here physically in Israel. Yeah. My name is Ben Avraham. I'm grateful to be here with you today. Absolutely joining hands with the Purple Vest initiative in my partners, Access Israel, Yuval, Shelly, and everybody. I will describe myself. I'm sitting in a black chair in my office. Now it's 5:30 evening in Israel. I wear a black shirt, have a short black hair, brown eyes, and a short beard. That doesn't mean I'm very old. I'm 48 years old. Okay, it's not white beard. Okay, speaking here in this webinar is such an amazing honor as an Israeli, as a professional subject matter expert, and as a human being. I think making life more accessible for people with disabilities is one of my life's most important missions. And I feel truly blessed to be here today and share it with you, all of you. I have been specializing in emergency, security, and accessibility in Israel for almost 28 years. For the last 12 years, I have had overall responsibility for emergency, security, and accessibility at Amot Investments Group. Amot is the one of the largest real estate company in Israel, from the north to the south. I'm responsible for something like 185 buildings, commercial centers, and shopping malls, hotels, and more. In my role, I oversee the security and emergency procedures of all these buildings and commercial centers, hotels in Israel. My key activities relates to emergency evacuation drills, and I would like to share with you a few thoughts based on my experience about people with disabilities in emergency situations. Emergency situations create a radical change in our daily routine, and as a result, the feelings and the behavior of people in emergency situations are very different. Now, just imagine how this sudden and stressful change is impacting people with disabilities. Do we really anticipate that during an emergency, people will be able to follow instructions which they are not prepared for? Does our expectation that people will follow instruction during emergency take into account the elements of stress and anxiety of people with disabilities? The answer to these important questions is planning, preparation, and practice in advance. The guiding principle is simple. The more we know about emergency situation and way to defend ourselves, the better we will function in real time. In other words, the higher level of preparation, the more effective the response will be. Many times, people with disabilities who enter a building, a mall, a park, or any other location, which they have no familiarity with, don't have any knowledge on emergency situations, how to use escape doors, security rooms, elevators, and staircases. Therefore, preparing an emergency plan for people with disabilities should be established by two parties. Those who manage the building security, alongside with people with disabilities who need assistance. The evacuation of people with disabilities has many components that directly affect the form of their evacuation. For example, How should people with disabilities be informed about an emergency, the method of evacuation for each disability and type of emergency situation, the evacuation equipment, the type of nearby shelter and how to locate it, access to medical equipment, and use of necessary medical equipment, access to various mobility aids and service animals, access to critical information, and much more. Defining this factor in details will determine how the emergency preparedness plan will be, both at the building level and, more importantly, in providing an individual solution adapted to each person with disabilities. After the decision is made to have an emergency evacuation plan for people with disabilities, the first step will be consulting an expert, as the implementation of such program is complex and covers many emergency aspects. But in short, the 5 principles that will ensure the success of such program are: 1, build a planning team, which include people with disabilities. 2, gather information about the type of disabilities, nature of assistance required during an emergency, and the building characteristics. 3, share the plan to ensure its effectiveness. 4, practice the plan. It's very important. Make sure all participants undergo training. 5, maintain an up-to-date plan at all the times. An emergency evacuation plan should describe how a person with disabilities will be moved outside from the danger zone. If unable to reach a safe area independently, shelter should be provided where they can wait until evacuation takes place. To write an appropriate emergency plan, questions must be asked. I call them the how questions. Number 1, how will a person will be notified of emergency event? For example, access to information, radios, announcements, emails. Number 2, how can a person call for help? Communication accessibility. For example, phones, mobiles, emergency buttons, emails. Number 3, how will they physically reach a shelter area? For example, personal aids and accessibility of the route. And number 4, how will they be taken from a shelter area outside the building, outside the mall, outside the hotel? For example, personal aids, personal assistance, and route accessibility. If you answer all these 4 questions, you will succeed in creating a personal emergency evacuation plan. It's called PEEP, as you know. My main objective today is just to shine a worldwide spotlight on this life-saving issue being promoted worldwide by Purple Vest mission, of course, and Access Israel, and harness all of you as ambassador of goodwill to promote this methodology and make this world a better place to live. Thank you for your attention.
Ben Chuk, thank you so much. And I think you have some fans joining my club. So I urge people, I know people want to contact, they're WhatsApping us and SMSing us. So we will make the connections. And thank you so much.